Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Adrian here, and this is Always Talk Money. If you're like most Americans, you're probably in debt. And so in today's video, I'm going to give you the best debt elimination advice that no one has ever told you. First advice I'm going to give you, and it's something that I heard from Dave Ramsey. I don't know if he came up with it, but I'm pretty sure he probably did. And this is the debt snowball method. What you do is that you line up all of your debts, right, from least to most, and then you focus on the smallest debt first while making minimum payments on the rest of them. You attack the smallest one with the most of your money. And what that does is, once you eliminate the smallest debt, you then use the money that you were paying on that smallest debt to attack the next smallest debt, and in that way you kind of create a snowball. And so you go from smaller to larger to larger to larger until you are left with the biggest debt that you have. But by the time you get to the biggest debt that you have more cash flow to attack that debt because you have eliminated all the small ones along the way. Why this method works is because it gives you small wins in the beginning. Paying off debt can be stressful, it can be aggravating, and sometimes it can take a long time. So what better way to get yourself in a good rhythm of paying off debt than to get some small wins? So if you have credit card debt and you have something with a balance of $300 and then your highest balance is, let's say, $3,000, paying off that $300 debt can give you the confidence, can give you that boost to say, you know what, I can do this. So that is the debt snowball method, and it's more in line with those who think they need the motivation psychologically to paying off their debt. The second debt advice that I'm going to give you, and it's another strategy, is the debt avalanche method. Now this one is for the nerds, right? The nerds will say go with the debt avalanche because you save more money. So let me explain. Unlike the debt snowball method where you focus on the smallest balance regardless of the interest rate, the debt avalanche says you should focus on the one with the highest interest rate. Let's say you have 10 debts, right? Credit cards, personal loans, car loans. What you would do is you would line them up from smallest to largest in terms of interest rate, regardless of what the balances are. Now, why I say this one is for the nerds is because when you pay off your higher interest rates, you can oftentimes pay off your debt quicker and also save money on interest. So the snowball method is more for a psychological boost, whereas the avalanche method is more of the math behind paying off debt. So once you focus on the highest interest rate first, you're lowering how much you're going to pay over time, because as you attack the ones with the higher interest rates, that's less payments, less interest payments over time, and that may actually help you to pay it off much faster. Let me know in the comments down below, which one do you think you would go for? Personally, I think it's based off your personality. If you're a person that's impatient and you need those small wins in the beginning of your debt payoff journey, I would say go with the snowball method. If you are someone who is very disciplined, wants to do it the right way, or wants to save as much money as possible when you're paying off debt, then I would say go with the avalanche method. Guys, if this video is bringing you value so far, please leave a like for the YouTube algorithm. Please also subscribe and become part of the family. Now, the next debt advice that no one is going to tell you is that you can negotiate with your creditors, especially if your loan is in collections, if your loan is in default. When they are bombarding you with all the phone calls, all the letters, they might put you in a lawsuit. All of these things are scare tactics. Now, I'm not saying you should ignore them. I'm not saying you should roll the dice on your future in terms of just having a lot of collections at your door. No, that's far from it. But you can sometimes take a beat and think about it logically, reasonably, and not be so scared. So if you have a debt collector that's calling you, you can try to negotiate with them. Now, get this in writing. Don't let them say it over the phone. Tell them to give it to you in writing. So let's say you have a balance of $5,000 and you're in default 60, 90, 180 days. They're so desperate that they don't want to leave empty-handed. So what you do is when they call you, tell them, why don't we negotiate? Let's say you have $3,000 instead of $5,000. Ask them if they will take the $3,000 instead of the $5,000. More often than not, they will. But as I said, get it in writing, because they would rather have $3,000 than $0 if you just don't pay at all. Now, the next thing you want to do is make sure you have all this money upfront in cash so you can make a one-time payment. Oftentimes, it will benefit you if you just ignore them until you have the money upfront, even $2,500, even $1,500. Ask them, hey, I want to make a settlement, full payment in cash, and if you give it to me in writing, I will give you 30% of the money, 40% of the money, 50% of the money. And oftentimes they will accept that. Another low-key debt advice that a lot of people ignore and don't even know about is balance transfers. But balance transfer to a 0% APR credit card or a new personal loan where you can kind of consolidate all of your debts. Let's say you have 5, 6, 7 debt payments that you have, but you're paying so many different payments. You're paying so much money in different interest rates. What you can do is you can apply for a credit card and you can get, let's say, a $3,000 credit card with 0% APR for at least 12 months. You transfer all of your debt to that 0% APR card, and what that will allow you to do is pay off your debt on a monthly basis with paying 0 in interest. So now automatically you're saving hundreds and hundreds of dollars in interest by paying 0% APR. But this only works if you paid off in the allotted time. The APR is going to be an introductory offer. Oftentimes it's 12 months, maybe 18, maybe 24 if that credit card company is generous. So you want to be able to read the fine print and make sure you can pay it off in the allotted time and pay 0% in interest. Because if you don't pay it off in the allotted time, now that interest is going to kick in and it's going to be super, super high. Also, I have a link in the description to a 10-day debt e-course that will actually help you to give you a step-by-step framework on how to manage and get out of debt. So check that in the link down below. Another thing you can do when you're paying off debt and going on this journey is to join a support group. Get a community around you. See, oftentimes we think that our problems are in isolation. We think that we are the only ones that's suffering with our problems, and that's far from the case. Many people have the same problems that we have, and so if you can find that accountability partner, find that community or group that you can bounce ideas off of on how to get rid of debt, because I know it's embarrassing to admit that you're behind on your car notes, you're behind on your credit cards, you're behind on your personal loan. It is embarrassing, and so you suffer in isolation, but you are missing a community where you can feed off of each other and give you that positive feedback in terms of people that are in a similar situation, and you can use that as a way to boost your self-esteem, boost your confidence, and have accountability. When you are accountable to other people, a lot of times that will give you the push that you need to get over the line. So that's more on the psychological side of debt repayment, but I do think it's very, very important that you find a community of people around you that you can bounce off of. And the final thing I'm going to give you in terms of secrets and strategies that nobody's talking about, but when it comes to getting out of debt, and it's to celebrate your wins. When you pay off one credit card, no matter how small it is, make sure that you give yourself a pat on the back. Make sure you give yourself a clap. Maybe give yourself a nice dinner or enjoy a cocktail, but be responsible, okay? It's always been said that personal finance is really more about attitude, emotion, psychology versus numbers, because we can all add, subtract, divide, and multiply. Somehow we are always in debt. And it's not because we don't know math, it's because emotionally we don't have the mindset in terms of how to handle finances. And a big part of that is celebrate your wins whenever you are getting out of debt. When I was doing the planning for this video, I didn't want to overwhelm you with all the numbers and tactical stuff too much. There is that in there: snowball, avalanche, balance transfers, and so on and so forth. Negotiate with your creditors. But I think it's also very important that debt is something that causes stress, and I think the psychology of trying to get yourself out of debt just as important as the tactical stuff. That is my time for this video, guys. Please leave a like on the video for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe and become part of the family. 2 videos every single week. QR code right here if you are on the TV for additional resources on the website at alwaystalkmoney.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Every single Friday I send out an email talking about personal finance and ways that you can improve and build wealth. With that being said, I appreciate you guys for watching. You have a wonderful rest of your day and get out of debt today. That rhymes. Peace.